Hello there, you beautiful people, and welcome to this lecture on for loops. This is possibly my single favourite lecture of the whole course because what you're going to be able to do after finishing this lecture is going to be crazy. It's about to get real, you guys. So in this lecture, I'm about to show you what for loops are and how to create them. The most powerful thing about for loops, in my opinion, is how well they integrate with Python's legendary data structures and enable you to go through thousands of pieces of information in the blink of an eye, all with easily programmable results. So by the end of this lecture, you're going to know what for loops are, how to use them, and how to integrate them with lists, strings, dictionaries, and really any other Python iterable data type to blast through loads of data instantly. So let's get into it. Okay, so what the heck is a for loop? Well, for loops are made up of a variable and an iterable of some kind. On each round of the for loop, the variable becomes the next value in the iterable. This allows you to perform an operation on each value in the iterable and also makes Python for loops easily expandable. It's probably easiest if I just show you. So I've made a script called for.py, and just like in the last video, let's say I want to print out the numbers 1 to 10. One way I could do it is I could write print 1, print 2, and print 3, and so on. Okay, now I don't want to do that. Right? I don't want to do that. I want to use a for loop. So I'm going to introduce you to a function that I haven't shown you yet. It's called the range function. Okay? The range function is going to create an iterable of numbers. So say if I had range 1 to 11. Okay? What this is going to do is it's going to basically make an iterable that looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. It's not going to be a list because a list is its own data type. It's going to make a range iterable. If you're using Python 2, first of all, well done on following through with this course because we've been using Python 3 all the way through. But if you're using Python 2, then range will give a list. But on Python 3, it gives a range iterable. Okay, but it's basically like this, right? You have an iterable of numbers starting at 1 and going up to, but not including 11. Okay, so that's how that works. Now, if I write for number in range 1 to 11, okay, remember that's 1 to 10, basically, print I. Oh, not I, print number. Now, if I run that, damn, look at how easy that was, right? So just by changing one piece up here, just by changing one number, I can now make this run for 1,000 numbers. Look at that. In 2 lines of code, we can get it to print thousands and thousands and thousands of lines or do operations thousands and thousands and thousands of times. That is amazing. So how did that work? Well, the first thing that it did, first thing that we did was type the letter 4 in lowercase. Idle helped us out by making it go yellow so that we know, the syntax is all correct. And just to say we're on the right track. After that, we declared a variable. I called it number, right? Now, number is going to update every single time we go through the loop. We could have called this anything. We could have called it pancakes if we wanted to, but number is probably more appropriate. We then had the keyword in that we've seen before, and then we had an iterable. Okay, we use range here, but this could very well, it could have been a list. It could have been a list like that. So let's say if I had a list 1, 2, 3, 4, that's going to print out 1, 2, 3, 4. It could have been a string. So say, for example, if I had 4 letter in the string ABCD, right? That's going to, oops, sorry, I forgot to change this to say letter. Now it's going to say ABCD. Right? So you have some kind of iterable, and on every time you go through the loop, this variable becomes the next step in the iterable, or the next element. So on the first way through, it's going to be A. So it's going to print A. On the next way through, it's going to become B. So we print B. Then C. We print C. And D. We print D. Now we use number to begin with, right? We use number in range 1 to 1001, let's say. Now, range just basically saves us from typing out a list like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way up to 1000. It just saves us doing that typing, but it's effectively the same It's effectively the same thing. You can also choose the amount of steps. So if I did 1 to 1001 in steps of 2, I think that's the syntax. Is that the syntax? It told me then, you see. This is another trick. On idle, you know, if you wait, it'll tell you how to do it. And yeah, it was right. You start what you want to start at, what you want to stop at, well, where you want to go up to, more correctly, and then optionally the step. Okay, so if I do that, we're going to go up in steps of 2. Let's just go up to 10 or 11. Now you see that we'll go up in steps of 2. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So let's see a situation of where this might be useful. Let's take an example where we wanted to go through a piece of text and count the amount of vowels and consonants in that piece of text. Also, by the way, for those of you who may not be familiar, the letters A, E, I, O, and U, these are the vowels, okay, in the English language. And you've also got consonants are basically everything else. So let's say we want to loop through a piece of text, okay? We're going to set a variable to count our vowels. That's going to set that to 0. We're going to set our consonants starting off as 0 as well. Now, for every letter in the word, let's say, hello, okay, if that letter in lowercase is in A, E, I, O, U, these are all the vowels, yeah, then vowels is going to be vowels plus 1. Right? Does that make sense? So if the letter, so it's going to start off as H, we're going to convert it to lowercase, and H is a consonant, right? So is H in A, E, I, O, U? It's not. So it's not a vowel, so we won't add anything to that. But on the next time through, we're going to have E. Is E in there? Yes, it is. So we're going to add 1 to the number of vowels, and so on. That's how we're going to count up the vowels. Okay? Now, else if the letter is a space, because it might be if we've got a piece of text, we're just going to pass and do nothing. But otherwise, then consonants equals consonants plus 1. Now, I know this doesn't take into account other potential punctuation, but it works good enough to demonstrate the point. Now, what we want to do is we want to print out there are some amount of vowels, format in there the vowels. Now let's copy and paste this. So this is just some string formatting. There are this many consonants, and we want to take the consonants. So we are expecting this to say there are 2 vowels because of E and O, and there are going to be 3 consonants. So let's see how that works. 2 vowels, 3 consonants. Perfect. Okay. Now, we could change this to be anything. Let's say if we took our example from before, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Okay. Now, let's run that. Apparently, there are 16 vowels and 18 consonants. So, you can just see how powerful these for loops are, right? It's absolutely mad. Now, in the interest of time, I'm going to cut this discussion of for loops short and save it for the next video. But here, I hopefully, you know, you're starting to understand the power of how all of these things are starting to come together. How we're getting loops in, and we're going to get logic in, and strings and numbers to create these powerful functions. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there, and we're going to pick up this discussion in the next video.